Hey, Cleaning Nation, good to see you, or owners of cleaning companies out there. Today we are doing our typical Wednesday afternoon live in the Facebook group. So if you've got a question, join our little free Facebook group at growmycleaningcompany.com or email support at growmycleaningcompany. We'll get you in. That said, Lindsay, who's up? What's up? How can we help?
Yeah, so today's question I asked everyone was, what do you feel stuck on in your cleaning company that's preventing you from growth?
Mhm.
So Amber commented in the Facebook group. She said, I'm stuck on creating my website. I go through WordPress and I have a template problem and the zip file won't attach. And she listed a ton of problems. So it sounds like her website is driving her nuts, Mike. Any advice on that?
Yeah, I have thoughts. So the big thing with websites is, gosh, there was probably a good decade where having a website was a big deal and people would go there and buy crap and whatever. Nowadays, I don't know how much time people spend on your website. There's certainly like a checking a website just to make sure like you exist, but same with socials, right? They're kind of, I would probably put, I don't know, depending on who your niche is, your Instagram channel, if you have a Facebook page, a LinkedIn profile, like X profile, reviews. They're probably going to look at reviews first, website second, and like a couple social things first. Sometimes people might look at social first and website second. So don't get super freaked out about website. People go nuts and they'll spend 5, 10, 20 grand on a website and no traffic, right? And no real funnel. So it's just something to look pretty. So first and foremost, you can build a website there's so many builders, Wix, there's, ClickFunnels, there's a dozen website builders that you don't have to like go full wet WordPress. And you just need a 2 or 3 page thing or 1 or 2. It doesn't have to be a just something so people can be like, I guess there's two levels with all this with social media and websites. Level one is just check the box. It's like, okay, the copyright at the bottom says 2024 or 2025. It doesn't say copyright 2011, right? It just looks like it's a thing. I hate when people have a blog and they haven't blogged in 9 months. Just delete the blog, right? Like either blog or don't. Same thing. So with social, with a website, it just needs to look like it's up to date. Like this is you drive by a restaurant, it kind of looks dark. It's like, is anyone in there? Like, is it open? Like, we're just looking for the website to be, yeah, we're open, right? So that's minimum. If you can't do that, just don't have one. But if it looks open, fine. So you don't need to spend a bunch of money on that. Second level is people spend a bunch of money trying to make it look good and have 100 pages and do all this webs, oh, I'm going to get SEO, but they make no offer. They don't speak to their customers' pain. They just talk about them. It's like every other goddamn website, everyone else out there, and they're like, that's what I want. I want to look like everyone else, but they're not making any money off their website either. So have an offer, talk about your customer's pain, make an offer to solve it, have them call or fill out a form or do something to their benefit, speak to a pain that they have, make them an offer to solve that pain or help them with that pain by giving them a download or by booking a call or an appointment. Find some way to help them and make them a clear offer. Doesn't have to be simple. It could be 1 or 2 or 3 pages. So tools wise, like, yeah, you don't have to use WordPress or like program in C++. There's plenty of like just cheap, easy website builders out there. But again, the big thing is people make them way too sexy and they're like Ferraris with no engine, right? Just get a Honda that runs, like get something that you can actually book appointments with. Base level, you just need something that makes you look like in business. Ideally, you've got some sort of value to give a client. You speak to their pain. But this can be done in a couple days with $0 to a couple $100. Like this isn't a big, certainly don't have to program in WordPress. So take it down, make it easy, but know what your goal is. A lot of people just spend a bunch of time and money on a website and they think like, oh, if I put my website, everyone's going to come to me. They're not, I promise you, because there's a billion websites out there, no one goes to any of them. So, just like having an Instagram account isn't going to do anything until you make posts and make an offer. Hey, if you want to figure out how to save 10 hours in your life, text save time now. Or if you want to find out how to get a free cleaning or something that they're interested in, you get them to raise their hand. All right. So I feel like I got a little preachy, but I want to make sure we get Amber the love she deserves.
Got it. All right. The next question was from Ryan, and he was saying he's having issues. He's stuck on picking a commercial niche. Which ones would you stay away from, Mike? He was thinking about law offices, although they don't do any of that now. He was thinking churches, high-end boutiques, grocery stores. Any thoughts there?
Yeah. So It's funny. I think Ryan's one of our clients. I literally just answered this question in Slack, so I'll kind of give some of the answers I gave to him a little more general for you guys. So first of all, picking a niche is a great start. Most people just kind of market to anybody, and obviously that's not what we're looking for. So you just got to kind of go with. So the beautiful thing about commercials, they can all afford it, right? If they've got a big enough building, they can afford a building. They can certainly afford to have a cleaner. So you don't have to worry. Like with residential, you don't want many people just don't have cleaners, right? Smaller houses or little condos or apartments. Like you got to kind of be a little more particular. With businesses, most people can afford it. So that's not the problem. We're really just looking for enough of them. Like bowling alleys might be a great niche, lots of square footage, lots of need for floor work. But what do you got? Like, depending on the city you're in, 0 to 6, like there's just not that many, right? Funeral homes, same thing, might be a great niche, but just how many can there be? So the first thing is you want to make sure there's enough of them. And then second, really just people that you want to work with and a pain that you can solve. So some of the obvious niches are government is probably the biggest. It's a whole different kettle of fish and that it's a lot of paperwork and not that you can't make money in it, but only thing I'll say about the government is if that can be your big niche and you're going to spend a lot of time, like years, really getting to know it, you can make money. But it's one of those deals I feel, or my experience has been, where if you sit down at the poker table and you don't know who the chump is, you're probably the chump. So when you go to those government bids and there's like 9 guys that are always there and it's your first bid, and you come popping in, you either have no chance of winning that bid, or if you win that bid, you're going to wish you didn't win it. And they know why that they didn't win it and why they didn't want it. And you don't know that. And it just, you're at an information disadvantage. So I wouldn't dabble in government. If that's what you're going to do, I'd really get good at it. And if you're not going to get good at it, I wouldn't do it at all. Next biggest would probably be like property managers, which can be great because I mean, you can build a big business with, one contact might have millions of square foot under management, but they're a little bit price sensitive, but they're really more risk sensitive. So as much as they want to save their clients money, they just want to look stupid, right? So if they've got a guy or a company that's been doing this for 10 years and they've worked with them forever, if something goes wrong, they can be like, I made a good choice, like kind of a little cover your butt situation. Like, hey, this guy's been around and he knows everything. So if they don't know you or if you're newer, it can be a little harder. So oftentimes you might spend 6 months just building a relationship, right? And then maybe they finally find one account that their regular 3 or 4 cleaners that they use can't handle it or doing a bad job. I'm like, I'll throw this bone to this guy. And it's a crap account. There's no money in it and it's hard to please. And you got to knock that one out of the park. And when you do that one, oh, okay. And maybe you don't make a ton of money on that one. Maybe you do, but maybe you don't. And they're like, all right, well, and then they just start, and then all of a sudden you're now in the mix, right? Like it's unlikely they're going to give you all of it. But now, as opposed to, the other 2 or 3 guys, they replace a guy or they add a guy. Now it's 3 or 4. And maybe you get, 500,000 square feet if it's 2 or 3 million square feet. So great opportunity. But if you want to make money today, property managers probably aren't the best, and you better do a great job because it's a very small community and word gets around. So, and it's not as much about the cleaning. It's who you are. Are you man? Like, just, are you a person of integrity? Like, are you, can you be trusted kind of a thing? So it's more of that. Gosh, there's restaurants and gyms. I kind of put them together, a little easier to get because they have massive pain because they're open 7 days a week. If it's a restaurant and they serve alcohol and maybe they don't close till 2 in the morning, midnight, depending on the laws of your city and state. And then the server's got to clean up and then you can't be in there till like 3, 4 a.m., 7 days a week, cleaning up a bunch of greasy, nasty stuff. So that's hard to staff, but you get paid to solve that problem, right? Same with gyms, right? 7 days a week, large facilities, lots of just a pain in the butt. But, so they can be hard. They can be a little easier to get, a little harder to fulfill, right? Property managers, you get that Class A office space that's, you're cleaning clean buildings every night, harder to get, easy to fulfill. Medical is a whole different, medical is not a niche, by the way. That's like an ocean. There's niches within medical. So like private doctor's offices would be a niche. Minute clinics or urgent care would be a niche. Hospitals would be a niche. Surgery centers would be a niche. So again, same thing there. You can get some specialized knowledge, charge a little bit more. That can be a great niche. I'll try and give you like car dealerships can be an excellent niche. Again, 7 days a week, 6 days a week, typically, sometimes multiple facilities, lots of windows, lots of floors. So I promise commercial guys, gals, if there's an easy button on niche, we would just tell you, everybody do property managers, but there's really strengths and weaknesses for each. And it kind of, I would have to have a real conversation with you personally. But all right, what's your goals? Where are you at now? What assets do you have? What do you know? What's your warm market? Who knows you? So that's kind of more of a one-on-one question, but hopefully that's a decent overview of just like what commercial niches look like, or what some main commercial niches look like.
I have a follow-up question, Mike. You actually sparked a question for me. I don't know this. Maybe it's just my ignorance on the subject, but when you select property managers, is it possible that they're managing properties that are ideal and not ideal? Say, a bank and they also manage like a gym and you don't really want to do gyms. Like, is that a problem that comes up, I guess, ever?
It's a really
Or
good
not?
point. So there's lots of different kinds of property managers. I should have specified. So there's obviously like residential property managers. That's not who we're looking for. There's like B and C class office managers. I don't know that usually office managers are off, or man, like a class A office space are like the big high rises, 20 stories. And it's just like, it'd be weird for all of them to have their own janitors with their own keys and they're all whatever. But when you get like strip malls and stuff like gyms and restaurants, typically standalone or like in a strip mall, I don't know that the property manager handles the cleaning because it's because they've all have their entrance on the ground floor. It is reasonable for them all to have their own. Churches. We forgot to talk about those. Remind me about churches. It would be reasonable for them to all have their own cleaning services because they all have their own private entrance. But when they're property managers, I was talking more about like high rises or places where there's lots of different renters in a main building and there's like one entrance and they all have their own little door. It would be weird. You know what I'm saying? It'd be hard for that. Not in all cases. So rarely does a property manager going to manage a church, a lawyer's office, a gym. Like they would manage like kind of one type of building, and most of the like gyms, office manager stuff like or gyms, restaurant, most of those don't have the property manager would not be handling the cleaning, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Got it.
Let me hit churches before we move
Yeah, I
on
was
to
gonna say, did you want to hit on churches? Yeah.
churches. Again, they can be good, but they can be really little and they can be really big. And most cities don't have the really big ones. And if they're not really, really big, where there's a campus like with a basketball court and this building and that building, those can be good. But most of them are one building. We need you Sunday nights or Sundays after service, maybe Wednesday if we've got like a midweek thing. And that's it. It's just tough to staff when you're like, and if they were all different days, we could do it, but they're all Sunday. It's all the same day. And a lot of them kind of get into this whole we're broke and we're non for profit. And that's not ideal. And then also some of it's like, well, we have our church members doing it. And so I would absolutely take a church, but I don't know that I'd pick that as a niche. They just got some drawbacks that wouldn't be for me. Mike Campion here. Do you ever listen to the podcast and go, this is great information. I just wish I could actually get it implemented. And I wish I could get some help. Well, we do that. If you would like either myself or my team's help actually coming up with a plan that's specialized to you and your business, because with these podcasts, obviously we have to be very general and we can only go 20 minutes at a time. If you'd like to jump on a call with myself or my team, go to growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. We'll jump on a call. There's no charge. And we'll help you get some absolute clarity around exactly what to do next and how to do it. The reason we don't charge for these calls is the plan that we come up with, people want help implementing that. If that's the case, we're happy to talk about it. And if it's not, that's okay too. We're happy to just help you come up with a plan. So if you want to translate the information you're learning here into an actual plan that can change your life, give us a ring, growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. Love to either myself or have one of our coaches walk you through and actually personalize the content you get here to where you're at with your business. Talk soon.
All right. Next up, Maids of Distinction made a Facebook post that was interesting. And she said, I specialize in interior cleaning, but I'm currently facing a challenge. I've been receiving a significant increase in commercial cleaning contracts lately, which is great, but it's starting to become overwhelming. I'm looking to hire permanent staff to help manage the workload, but I haven't had any luck so far. Any advice on how to handle this situation?
Yeah, I love that. So even the phrasing that you said was, or that she said was, I specialize in interior cleaning. And I think the name of the company is Maids of Distinction, which is indicative of house cleaning, right? Maids, janitors clean commercial buildings, maids clean homes. So Maids of Distinction sounds like a house cleaning business. But she says, I've been receiving a significant increase in commercial cleaning contracts. Well, that's not how it works. Like they don't just send you, it's not like slave labor where they just call you and be like, here's your contract. And you're like, oh God, I better get to work. So a more accurate thing. What was the lady's name?
I didn't catch her name. I
Oh,
just
that's
have
just the
the
company.
business
All right.
name. Yeah.
Mrs. Made of Distinction. A more accurate description would be commercial people called and asked for a bid, and you gave them a bid and they accepted it and you accepted the work. That's super. So the way she asked it was super passive. Like, this thing is happening to me. I'm just getting all these commercial accounts. It's like, no, no, no. You were, it's like me going, waking up. I got married. I don't know what happened. I just like, she didn't drug me. Like, I said yes. And we made a plan and we went to the thing. And, like it's an active thing. So I personally, or we as a company, don't coach doing residential and commercial. Residential, you can be very, very successful with residential, and you can be very, very successful with commercial. I've found very few instances of high degrees of success, profitability, autonomy, where they have a real business that works without them doing both. So I guess the first thing I would say, you're not receiving commercial, you're choosing to go into commercial. And you're like, it's a pain. I'm like, I know, that's why we would coach you not to do it. But in terms of hiring permanent staff to manage the workload. And she's like, I haven't had any luck. It's like, well, there's no luck. It's a you have to have a hiring system. So the hiring system for commercial and residential is pretty much the same. It's just you're looking for people looking to work nights and weekends for commercial and Monday to Friday kind of daytimes for residential. But either way, you need a system to hire. So I guess step one, pick who you want to be and do that. And yeah, saying no is difficult, but the more successful you get, the bigger, and it gets worse and worse. The bigger you get, the more opportunities. You're like, oh my gosh, they get better and juicier. And good is the enemy of great, right? So you have to say no to a lot of stuff to say yes to the very precious few. So yeah, if you want to be really successful, in my experience, saying no is as important, if not more important than saying yes. So first decide who you want to be, commercial or residential, even the name, right? If you're going to be called Maids of Distinction, that's not a great name for a commercial cleaning company. Just like Grow My Cleaning Company is not a great name for a real estate coaching company. It's just not effective. Step one, decide who you want to be. Step two, have a hiring funnel to hire for whatever you're doing. You need a hiring funnel, but that's kind of a separate thing, separate day, separate answer for a separate question. Any follow-ups on that, Lindsay, or did that cover it?
You covered it. And I just love that point you made about saying no. Like knowing when to say no is just as important. That's so good. All right. I'm going to go on here to Martina, who had another residential to commercial related question. She said she's been in business for, I think it was actually 10 years. She said, I had a typo here. Sorry, Martina. And her plan is to move, definitely, she's going to move from regular house cleaning to construction/commercial. And she wanted to know what is the best way to reorganize business this way, and how she could start using the huge base of contacts she has right now in a residential company to help launch the commercial company, I guess. Any advice on that, Mike?
Yeah, we're talking lots about niche today. So, Martina, great question. And it's so tough because there's so much assumptions baked into the question that I'm like, I don't agree with those assumptions. So what she said is her plan is to move from regular house cleaning to construction or commercial. I don't even know if that's a good idea. So first of all, we don't coach anyone to do post-construction at all. And it's we've done podcasts on that. It is just high risk, bad payment terms. There's a reason everyone wants to do them because they're easy to get clients, but they're easy to get because anytime something's easy to get, you should ask why, right? Just you want to know why. So I would not coach you to do post construction at all. That said, it's real. I don't know why this is with residential. It's really common for them, like, oh, if I just move to commercial, that's the thing. We make the wrong assumption. If I just had the right software, then I would be rich. Or if I just had a website, then everything would be great. So we kind of pin our hopes. And the problem is it's because typically the thing that needs to be solved, we either don't understand what it is or we know what it is, but we don't want to do it. So instead of dealing with the thing that we know we want to do, we start doing a bunch of other stuff that aren't going to get us where we want to go, but they feel better. And then we waste 5-10 years. And like, how come I can't grow my company? So I can assure you, Martina, been coaching for a decade now, thousands of owners of cleaning companies. Not one was like, I'm really struggling on residential and I moved to commercial and boom, I hit all my goals. That was it. It was just moving to commercial. That was it. That was the one thing. It's never been the one thing. I'm not saying some don't make that switch and some aren't happy, but some move from commercial to residential and they're happy. So the assumption that's built into the question of that's what I'm stuck on is I just need to switch niches. Again, it's like me I've got a beautiful bride and going, she's a pain in my neck and I don't like her. I can't think of anything wrong with my wife, but she doesn't do this. She spends too much money, right? That's not her, but she spends a bunch of money. I don't, or I don't know. She's overweight. She's not. I'm chubby. She's thin. Yeah. And Lindsay's like, easy, tiger. So let's just say
Slow
my
down
beautiful bride,
there.
who's got a perfect figure, is overweight. And I'm like, screw that. I'm going to get a skinny girl. And I divorce my wife and get a skinny girl. And I find out, yes, she's skinny and beautiful. And she's a pain in my neck in another way. And I'm just like, and I'm going to get another. And I could go till the end of time. And the problem is probably me. Right. So Lindsay's nodding. Oh, the problem is definitely you.
Mean it like that. But yeah,
I can
like that
assure you the
probably
problem is you. There's no maybe. This is you. This is a you
classic.
problem. It's the same here. Like, oh, residential's not sexy. It's overweight, right? They're only $300-400 a month. I want the $4,000. They're picky. And it's like, is it true? Yeah, but commercial has a whole different set of problems that you don't know about. So what you're saying is I want to trade the problems I'm comfortable with for problems I don't know about. I'm like, well, you can do that, but you're going to find out those problems. You might want to know earlier. So I'll answer your question, but and again, it's a weird question. Like, how can I use a huge base of clients of residential to get commercial? Like, I don't know. Like every now and again, sometimes like, oh, I clean a house and they have a business and they want me to do their business. So now I'm doing their business. And yeah, so I'm not saying you can never get commercial contracts, but that's not how I would build a commercial cleaning business. So if I'm going to go commercial, I'm just going to build a commercial cleaning business. I'm going to make a Dream 100 that represents millions and millions of dollars of annual work. I'm going to just focus on it's like I'm going to make. And the problem is when I start telling people what it takes to build a commercial cleaning company, like, oh, that sounds like a lot of work. I was kind of hoping it would just be magic. I just say I'm doing commercial now and it'll all get easy. It's like it doesn't. It's a real marketing plan. And then a lot of the times the residential, like, well, it's easier just to get more residential. I'm like, I know. That's why I would do that. So just like the gal before on the like, I've got all these magical contracts coming in. I don't know how to, what do I do? How do I get permanent staff? Like you have a hiring funnel. So the same thing, if you want commercial contracts, you have a marketing funnel. Like it's really the same thing. And yes, a marketing, and we've done hundreds of podcasts on marketing, so I'm not going to go deep on it now. But Martina, my short answer is why specifically do you think, and again, post-construction and commercial are wildly different things. So that's like me going, I don't like my wife anymore. I'm either going to become a monk or become a monogamous and marry 7 women. It's like, well, those are all really different. Like, what do we like? They're just, wow, you really took a left turn. I might want to just think about like, what's the problem with my relationship with my wife? How can I be a better husband? Let's really solve the problem as opposed to just, you know what? I've got a 24-year-old secretary. I'll run off with her and that'll be great. And I'm sure it will for 4.5 days to maybe 3 weeks before I realize this is no good. So you can run off with your hot young commercial contract and think this is the one, and you'll just find out a different set of problems. So almost always there's an underlying problem with the business at a foundational level on the pricing or inability to have a marketing funnel or inability to hire. And we don't want to solve that problem. So we're like, I'll get new software. I'll build a website. I'll start advertising with these people. I'll switch my niche and that'll fix it all. And it just doesn't. So my encouragement, Martina, and again, this is a one-to-one client or conversation, is really get to the bottom of what's going on with where you're at and the real problem, and let's solve that, even if it sucks. I'd rather spend time working on a hard problem that is not fun to solve and actually getting results than just jumping to new problem to new problem. And every time it gets hard, finding a new problem. So I know that sounded probably super judgy. I've just, and asked me why I'm so passionate, because I've done all these things wrong and it's kicked me right in the nuts and I didn't like it. I don't want you guys to get kicked in the ovaries. So that's what I got. And I guess probably I know we're out of time. So the best way to end it would be, guys, gals, as much as I love helping to the best of our ability, one to many, it just, can be a little frustrating because I'm like, I have so many questions I need to ask you, Martina, and maids of distinction, that I can give you some more specific coaching. So again, as much as we love helping to the degree that we can in this one to many forum, if you're like, I need some specifics, whether it's us or somebody else, reach out to someone that knows what the heck they're doing, that has a system and a plan that's repeatable and dependable and scalable, and get some help for real, like to really, get a different result. Because again, we love helping to the best we can, but just, I feel like I'm kind of coaching with one of my arms tied behind my back here. Anything I'm missing, Lindsay?
No, you got it. Sounds good.
All right, guys, gals, appreciate the heck out of all of you. So many ways to get a hold of us free, our web, our growmycleaningcompany.com, Instagram, the Grow My Cleaning Company Facebook group. Again, you can email support@growmycleaningcompany.com to submit a question. I'm Mike at growmycleaningcompany.com. We're here to help. We got a whole team. Thanks for joining. We'll talk soon. Hey, Cleaning Nation, if you dug the content you just got, we don't do any ads and I don't sell anything on this podcast, but if you would just subscribe, rate, and review, it would be huge and I'd be so appreciative. Not only is it going to help me, but you'll help other owners of cleaning companies across the world work less, make more, and get profitable. So if you appreciate the value we give, again, subscribe, rate, and review. It would mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it. And we sure appreciate your time and attention.